last June 19, and Gustavo Petro was elected president for the 2022-2026 term with 50.4% of the votes against Rodolfo Hernández. It will be the first time that a leftist government in Colombia will take office in this century. And also, Francia Marquez will be the first Afro-Colombian woman to ever serve as a vice president. The map shows the same regional division pattern in all recent major elections, the peace referendum, the 2018 presidential election, and the first round in 2022. However, voter turnout was at 58% with a significant increase in the major cities, and the Black vote rate has been the lowest since 2006. Who is Petro? He's an economist with higher studies in public administration and development. He has been a congressman, a representative, and a senator 4 times. He was also the mayor of Bogota in 2011 and the former presidential candidate in 2010 and 2018. He is also remembered for being a member of the M19 guerrilla at the age of 17. This movement went through a peace process in the late 80s and was especially important in the building in the 1991 Constitution. Some of Petro's challenges. The new government will receive a country with high inflation, high debt, and highly polarized. But there is also distrust in the traditional political parties. This scenario means that Petro must seek consensus with different sectors. Right now, what he's trying to do is he's trying to send out a message of unity and for people not to fear what could be a leftist government. Because of this, Petro has been open to dialogue with leaders of different political parties and movement to get what he calls the Great National Agreement, which would allow him to consolidate majorities in Congress and also guarantee his governability to implement structural reforms he promised in his campaign. So far, different parties have welcomed Gustavo Petro's call. The Liberal Party, the Green Alliance Party, the U Party, and also the Conservative Party expressed their intention to be government supporters. Alignments of the opposition in Congress, of course, are not yet consolidated, but Álvaro Uribe's party, the Democratic Center, appears to be the possible leader of the opposition, although former President Uribe met with Petro and gave positive messages of dialogue. Gustavo Petro will take office on August 7th. During the last 2 weeks, he has been announcing his ministerial cabinet and has begun the transition with Iván Duque's government. So far, Petro has appointed his finance minister, his foreign affairs minister, education, health, culture, environment, and agriculture. That's 7 out of the 18 cabinet positions. He has granted also relief to some sectors as some of these nominees have been public servants in the past, have worked in different governments, and have actually had interesting results. However, the appointment of the Minister of Health, Carolina Corcho, has been very controversial in the country, and some analysts say there is a substantial risk of not very positive change in the healthcare system. Yesterday, Gustavo Petro appointed Luis Carlos Reyes as the National Tax Director and recently appointed former vice presidential candidate and also former Minister of Environment, Luis Gilberto Murillo, as his ambassador in the United States. Mr. Murillo has been living in the States for a long time and has also reached across the aisle in the 2 different parties, making it an interesting position. Let's talk about some of the challenges of the ministers. Let's begin with foreign affairs. Minister Álvaro Leiva will execute a foreign affairs policy based on the promotion of peace and sustainability, with green and low carbon energies at the center of everything. He will also face some of these challenges: reopening bilateral relations with Venezuela on a non-intervention basis, promoting the diversification of Colombia's diplomatic and economic relations, strengthen regional integration mechanisms and multilateral organizations, reviewing the different free trade agreements to stimulate productivity, reshaping the counter-narcotics regional strategy, strengthening the relationship with the European Union, and also continuing to be a key ally for the United States in the region. Let's switch over to finance. The new government has a robust social agenda and the challenge to continue the economic recovery. Minister José Antonio Ocampo's main challenge will be the implementation of a new progressive tax reform to increase revenues by around $12.5 billion. Minister Ocampo is one of the most recognized economists in Latin America. In education, the main challenge for the new minister and former presidential candidate Alejandro Gaviria will be to make higher education free and public and increase the number of children in preschool. Let's go over to health. Minister Carolina Corcho will have the challenge of socializing and building consensus around health reforms that they proposed in the presidential campaign. Some of the proposed changes are seen as radical and not technical among some of the experts. In culture, Minister Patricia Ariza will oversee consolidating policies to guarantee creative liberties within the sector, guarantee employment spaces for cultural managers, and address the pending task of the peace process in terms of culture. While in the environment, Minister Susana Muhammad will lead the promotion of a productive decarbonized economy, avoiding extractivism, and the transition to clean energies hand by hand with a Ministry of Mines and Energy that has not been appointed yet. And in agriculture, Minister Cecilia Lopez will seek to carry out a new agrarian reform. It will imply the allocation of land currently used for cattle ranching to serve for agricultural production, strengthening local food production, and also creating taxes to the productive capacity of the land. Thank you for joining, and talk to you guys soon.